there is $3 billion of money that comes from northern Manitoba for the province of Manitoba and for Canada. And yet today, there's 1,400 homes in northern Manitoba that have absolutely no running water. There's a child in my own community. A child, I had to go to a basin to wash his face, and that's all he could do. There's an elder who should be having the same access to go to the washroom. Today, as we speak, as we sit here, enjoy the facilities, as we just go down the washroom and flush our toilets and turn on the taps. There is an elder in my community that still doesn't do that. And this is Canada.
Research is ceremony. It's not a ceremony. That's not from me. That's from a fellow named Sean White. He has Aboriginal heritage. Research is ceremony. Every part of doing research has a time, and it has a place, and it has the people that need to be there. And ceremony is about relationships, it's about partnership, and it's about communication. It's about being together and sharing. And all of those things are what makes research happen.
What if the water is contaminated and all the fish that we get in Lac Brochet is contaminated? How is my daughter going to survive? Because she's allergic to eggs. I don't know. I don't have to question. And this is where everybody that's working here is going to find that out. And this research don't ever, ever, ever stop. There's a lot of things that to be researched under First Nation. If you keep going, trying, everything, you'd never stop.
One of the biggest challenges that, when you're designing water treatment plant in First Nations, the engineers, they use a national growth rate that doesn't apply to First Nations. When they use that the growth rate that they used in Nelson House, it was that plant was supposed to be good for 20 years before any kind of upgrade would be considered. But that 20-year lapsed in 5 years because they used a national growth rate of 3% back in the day. Like our growth rate is like 15%. Our plant was at capacity, and again today, as we speak right now, we're at maximum capacity because our water treatment plant runs 23 hours a day.
There's a sewage that spilled. Is it healthy for our community? Who is going to come there and check that spill out? I've been without running water, like I said. My kids do need that, especially one of my girls. And water is so important. You have to use water every day.
It's a big issue. The water that we're talking about. Everybody use that water. How is it healthy? What are you picking up? And I want you guys to see what we face in our community. That's why I spoke. First session that we had in Winnipeg, University of Manitoba. As leaders, or in any assemblies that we've been going to, all there is talks. We need to do some action so the federal government can hear and what the problems we have in our community. We've been visiting this elder. He's doing his dialysis, and he doesn't have no running water. He doesn't have no running water. The only time federal, provincial, MKO, AMC, or anybody comes around is during the election. These are the things that I face as a leader. Sometimes it's very heavy, but you, the participants, are the ones that helping me, lifting me up, that we have to work together.
And I don't have to look very far to recognize that we've become victims of another way of life. And what we see is what is called civilization. The problem is our behavior, that there is no respect for the land. There is no respect, certainly, for Indigenous people of this land. Otherwise, we would not be living, being at the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder in this country. Why would we choose to live like that as a people? We're surrounded by water, and yet that element is being contaminated every day. Everything that is on the land is alive. The water is alive. The environmental damage that has been done to the earth, we have yet to feel the full impacts and what it's going to do to our children. The way that we're living is not the way of the future, because we will destroy their future. If we continue to contaminate and pollute the earth in the way that we are doing it, what is happening in truth is that we're being denied to the land and its resources, and we're being pushed politically, economically, culturally to extinction. They took our language, they took our ceremonies, they took our drum, they took our life. They took our life as a people. And then people can sit around and talk about, look at those Indians, the way that they're living. That's not what my ancestors chose, for us to be living in those kind of conditions. Shame on you. Shame on you, the way that you have treated Native people and continue to treat them. Shame on you, that you are benefiting from the richness of this land. Shame on you. Where is your spirit of love? Where is your spirit of respect?
I remember the elder telling me when we met just a few months ago, there is something coming. It's coming through. I take that very seriously, and it worries me. I worry constantly. Are we ready? Are we going to be ready? What are we going to do? Or who's going to come to our rescue? And I still feel, particularly this government, I think they really don't care. I think there are people who are simply detached from morality and ethicism and respect for life. They don't care.
That's what I want to teach these young people about this research, to start teaching them respect for their land, water. And you have to start teaching these young kids to respect their surroundings. Like this research, I'm anxious to get this started, for them to teach them about water. And anyway, I'm not good at public speaking.
What happened was when they started digging, they started finding pools of contamination going all over. And what you saw in downtown was no longer downtown. All of it had to be decommissioned, torn down. Decommissioned the diesel generating station, and built a new school. So you have the old school, the new school, the decommissioning of the diesel generating station, build a new school on top of it, and what they find is contamination. Students were actually sniffing all the carcinogens and stuff like that, so they shut it down. They had to build another school, but they couldn't build the other school because INAC said you don't have a big enough sewer and water treatment plant. The old school decommissioned, the new school, building a new school and a new sewer treatment water plant, and also the water plant. That's about $150 million for a region that was supposed to be earmarked for a reserve to do sewer and water for everybody. So it collectively had to solve this gigantic problem. It reminds me of one of my colleagues told me in the early when they used to trap with dog teams. So INAC says, well, we'll give you skittles so it'll be faster to get the furs and bring them faster, and then you'll create money. So everybody started abandoning their dog teams. But within a year and a half, there were skittles littered all over the reserve because everybody knew how to fix the skittles, right? So nowadays, in Pagarawan, when we settled the diesel contamination issue, we had a ratification and we had it settled, and we got 17 million, but we control all of it.
When I was growing up, my dad was chief of the community. He was a signatory of the 1977 agreement between Hydro Province and INAC. People used to come to my dad's place and tell him, don't sell off, don't sell our land to Manitoba Hydro. The elders used to come visit my dad all the time, But what the most interesting thing is, we used to have hydro rep. I remember a guy named Jaworski. He used to come there with a checkbook behind his back pocket, trying to tell my dad he was ready to settle it and write you a check for $1 million. And I remember him coming home from Winnipeg during the negotiation meeting. We lost. He was saying to my mom, we lost. He goes, what he was talking about? I guess, you know, basically the province, Manitoba Hydro, won their fight to, you know, to flood our lands. The elders used to talk about that, you know, when you actually killed a person's spirit, you literally, like Manitoba Hydro and the province literally killed the spirit in a lot of our elders, especially our elders. For the province to make money off that dam, is literally going to be making money off that. You know, I know it saddens me, but you know, at the same time, I'm happy because we're more or less following what our people tell us to do. Because you disrupt Mother Earth or nature itself. You know, you're actually doing some damage. You're killing a spirit right there.
The other thing I think that, you know, that the governments just refuse to support is to, you know, to do a health assessment as a result of the contaminated water. The people are getting sick, the people are dying because people don't want to, you know, to do the proper assessments.
Maybe we need some kind of a connection, a definite connection between the water and those illnesses. Because what they're going to say is, those people are sick because they're Indians and they're dirty and they just don't clean their houses and they don't take care of themselves. And this isn't about water. Well, how do we make them care? Like, I think of it really resonated with me when the elders spoke.
I'm talking full participation here by the elders, by the grandmothers, you know, to be positioned, you know, that they're giving us the advice and the things that we need to do. That direction should be given to, you know, to the technical people. I think we have the potential to pioneer a model of how we should treat the water in a most sacred way to teach the rest of the world how it can be done.
Before I get in the drink of water, I boil this water. And wherever I go, I think of the water. Let's see if it's any good to drink, if it's safe to drink.
Someone's asked Jenna to read a story. They didn't want to say the story themselves, so Jenna's agreed to read the story.
It started with a cut on her foot that she couldn't clean daily. No matter how clean she kept her foot, the wound wouldn't heal. Gangrene set in, and the doctors wrote letters to the band, as did the family. Slowly, the doctors had to cut off bits and pieces of the gangrene. The last year she lived on reserve, she had running water, but the complications of diabetes had already set in. She died in the hospital when I was 20 to 21 years old, but had they had running water in their house when she got that first little cut, things could have been prevented. Now, I don't know if this is the stem of what has happened with me and my family, but me and another sister of mine have PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. Her doctor has stated to her that most of her clients are from the area where I grew up. There are a lot of women who are having a hard time conceiving.
As people leave downtown, they want to move further. Where do they get the power from? Up north, in my backyard. So it does affect me. So, on a global sense, economic sense, First Nations people have to be very, I guess, we need to work together.
I was just chief member there at one time. And these people, I asked where can we build a garbage dump? We picked it up upstream. A couple of years later, a couple of people come to me and said, these kids are getting sick. We didn't know what. That was that garbage being built upstream. It was seeping down to that.
Our sewer at town just goes right into the Saskatchewan River. And this is where we catch the fish. And we don't see fish anymore. And how, as we as people, how are we going to get that back? How do you propose to bring that back? How many more laws are they going to bring in and you don't see results? We're very limited in what we can do because of the laws that are there. How does the government expect us to live by what they give us? How are we going to make our water cleaner? I live in town, but I don't drink that water because we can taste the difference. You can taste it right away when you drink that tap water. From our department where we work, we try and get the students involved in natural resources, and we get them to take examples of the river, you know, like with the water and with the fish. But what happens when that project is done and then there's no one else there to pick up from there? Like how do we get them to be more involved with it each and every day of their life instead of just stopping at that point? It needs to start at the home, that teaching that they need. If they had that motivation of having money for their recycling, I'm sure you're going to see a lot of them recycling. But why do we have to be motivated by money to do that?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Back in the days.
Yeah.
Nothing was wasted. Everything was everything.
Yeah.
Nothing. Even the bone of lake bone here. They made to clean a hide with that. You know. Today they kill something, you only take the best part of that. And the rest goes to waste.
And the pipe is for privileged access. It was brought in for the teachers, it was brought in for the RCMP, it was brought in for the health service providers, the nurses that would come in. And that's what. And in fact, the planning of the communities is around the colonization of the communities.
Exactly.
And you could be so close to amenities, but so far. I mean, I think that's the irony of this notion of progress, is that we could bring you a pipe and run the pipe through the community, but you don't have access.
Now today, nobody eats country food. Kids don't eat that anymore. They like chips, they like, drinks. That's what diabetes comes from. There's kids out there, they don't respect anything. They're destructive now. They don't go up there and enjoy what's there. Maybe a quarter of them that don't go to school. They just run around and do nothing. Maybe that's one of the surveys. Maybe cut the kids that get involved in the surveys on the youth.
And I would say this, and I would go to the elders, and I would say to the elders, in your memory, what was it like? What was it like before? Do you remember what your grandmother told you when everything was so beautiful? What did we do? What was it? What were the values that we had? The problems of the structure of ideologies, methods that are being applied on the people that can't fit within there. We can't fit in there. Will I be allowed to be who I am? Will I be able to be freely expressive of my identity? And my identity comes from the land, which is, is within my spirit. And let us look at the values that we live by. And when he talked about cancer and sugar diabetes, I really believe that where most of this is coming from is the food, the processed foods. It's triggering something inside that's creating an attack upon ourselves that we call cancer. And our immune system cannot read it anymore. It cannot read the contaminants and the pollution that is put within, the processed foods. You go to any community up north, what are they eating? And it shows why, our people are so sick. That some of the children with renal disease are not going to reach their graduation day. Isn't that disturbing, alarming? How do we help make the people care? And I think that's the challenge that we all have together.
I'm a survivor of being a resident school syndrome. I was only 5 years old when they dumped me in a resident school. The simple fact is my parents were on something. I had to just stay the year round. So therefore I blame the system for losing all my identity as an elder. What I should know by now, but I have very little knowledge of
I'm sure this my terms up there, that's it. Goodbye, you guys. I'm gone.
There has to be a message that comes out of it that inspires people to say, well, can we continue to allow Native people to be denied, the same kind of access that we have for health and all of that? Because we don't have it. Once they're diagnosed to go on dialysis when they hit Winnipeg, they know that they're not going to go back home. And I think about that, and I said, that would be so awful, that I couldn't go back home. That's where I have to stay for the rest of my life in a place that is like so foreign to our culture. They're trying to shock people. Yes. And yes, it is shocking. But, and I said, well, is it really going to affect, the inspiration for people to say, we have to do something? I think that we have to appeal to the hearts of our fellow human beings. And I think that a film of this nature, you have to trust the audience. Yes. And you have to, and you have to trust the people that are doing the filming. You can have, 500 hours of film, but how do you think that it really captured the message that you really want?
People need to hear our voice, and they don't. Mainstream does not hear, and that voice has to come from the community so that people see that it's not just someone who's going and trying to help other people. Our new generation, we're thinking differently now, and the youth are thinking differently, and politics are changing, so there needs to be action.
And if we can have the Indigenous elders meet with the young people and say we're going to figure out a message that needs to be given around the world. This is the destiny of America here. This is the destiny of Indigenous people here in America. That's why I have a hard time watching film and we only show the symptoms of what has happened to our people with the attempts to deny us to live our identity. That's what happens. The people become sick. The people become addicted. The people become, confused. When we see that there are 10,300 Aboriginal children under foster care in this province, then we have to accept the responsibility that something is wrong. Every child is born with the right to be given good, clean water. Every child is born with the right to be told the truth. We are not telling them the truth.
If you did a research on consumption, right? If you combine what Northern brings in, the sweets, all the sugar that goes into the food, it gets to our system, the chemicals that go into the water, the combination of both food additives and what's in the water.
We really haven't challenged the government to try to determine the matter of authority, which is where we get into all of these unknowns, right, about, well, who's responsible for what, and when does their authority end before it goes into another jurisdiction, and they're always handing each other off. So to me, it's not clear, and as long as there's uncertainty, then it's up for negotiation, or it's up for someone to define. And I don't know who has the power to define. I think the elders have to be at the table to define, but I also think the government should be there to help define, and maybe even the courts. So that's the process. At least get those very pointed questions from the elders.
There's a lot of red tape that they have to go through. Because provincial government cannot come into the res and clean up the mess. The reserves, chief and council, or whoever, should adopt some of the laws from provincial government. No, provincial government. So they can work together, right? Instead of fighting. Well, it's your area, or yours, right?
I think that any way that we can get to some more clarity and certainty just makes business a little bit easier. It makes life easier for people because then they know. People have a right to know what kind of service they're going to get, or they're not going to get. You know, we were told that we have certain entitlements and rights to things, and it doesn't make sense that it's not there.
There's no such thing as this. We are given the responsibilities. They come with us. I'm not, a physical thing is what you see, but I'm much more than that. When I say that we're much more than what we are, we carry the genes of our ancestors. And the knowledge and the wisdom that they have, we have that. Genius, you know, all that knowledge. When people say we've lost this, we haven't lost nothing. It's just a matter of sitting down quietly and finding out how to retrieve those things. Our philosophy is not to own things. There are other things in you that are much more powerful than economics.
I said, Mervyn, and I told him what I heard, what an elder taught me. So I taught him. And he said, you know, you're right. He said, I gotta take it back, what you have taught me today. I'm gonna take it to my community. Yeah.
I'm talking about Nippy. Nippy means water in Cree. Yes, it's like giving. Water can also take away if you don't treat it right. You know, there's a lot of ways we look like it. We're smart. We're very smart people. We made our own living from the land.
This should be taken to the school as part of an education program, because I have a 13-year-old daughter, and she would learn so much from what you guys talked about today.
I have a 13-year-old son. He's really concerned about the environment. So what about the fish? Is anybody thinking about the fish? Doesn't anybody care about the land anymore? What's going on with this earth now, he said, eh? He gets really emotional when he talks about the environment, eh? So I'm hoping when he graduates, I keep telling him, go to university and bring concerns.
For me, the next step is to educate people, I guess, make people aware not only what's happening, what has happened, and what's happening today, and what we need to do to correct that, to make it better. What we have is a lot of knowledge. We have a lot of knowledge. And the knowledge, the academic knowledge is good. Reading, writing, arithmetic, and all that. But to me, it has to go right into your soul. You're very, very hard to who you are.
In my community, there's not much of a teaching of water. I will take back whatever I can get from here. Maybe I could set up a pamphlet and take it to the school and then get in touch with our users of water and I tell them how important it is.
It's chemicals like that, it's gas, fuel. And I'm not even thinking about that. And this build up, overflow, it will all flow down again. And it is going into the water too, like how many years is it?
In schools, we're not encouraged. I wasn't told that I was smart, and I wasn't told that I could succeed, and there's been a couple other people in this that we've come here with that have also said the same thing, that they were told that they were dumb. And were told that they couldn't finish university. So let's encourage our young people. Please just tell them they're smart whenever you get the chance, especially the teachers. Like, I feel like our teachers have a huge responsibility with our youth.
This is something that the world needs to know about. And that I think sharing that feeling we have, sharing the knowledge that we have from each other here with the larger community is going to make a difference. We're looking forward now to action. We want to make things happen. But I think we also we have to continue to listen. I think the listening is not over. I think we have to continue to listen to each other as individuals and as groups coming from different perspectives. And that's where empathy comes from, really.
But the whole part of our culture is humor has to be involved in whatever story or whatever we're trying to pass through.
You're doing the right thing. Whatever anybody says, don't listen to it. Just tell your death.